with that, let's go ahead and get started. So, all right, well, welcome everybody to Abundant Living Virtual. We're going to make the most of maximizing our stimulus check tonight. So we're excited to have you all here, and I'm looking forward to what the night brings and answering a lot of the questions that have been on your mind and what's out there. So let's start with a quick review. Last week we talked about the 4 wheels, right? Your physical wheel, your emotional wheel, that relational wheel, and the spiritual wheel. Those wheels are akin to everybody. Everybody has all 4 of those wheels. And if you consider your life in the form of a wagon, and if that wagon is missing one of those wheels or one of the wheels is damaged, it's really tough to move that wagon down the road. So tonight we're going to take kind of a quick pulse point here, and you'll see the question at the bottom of your screen. What do you need? And so I want to encourage you to use the chat function. If you'll just take a second, if there's something that you are in need of and not getting, would you please take a minute and just write that down? It might be something as simple as toilet paper, because we still know that the shelves are bare, right? But it may be something different. Maybe it's a break. If you're working from home and trying to homeschool and keep the house and everything else at the same time, you might just need a break. Maybe it's you need someone to check in with you and call on you and just make sure you're okay every once in a while, because you're doing this by yourself and you're taking it seriously and you're isolating. And I talked to somebody today, said they hadn't left their house in about a week, and that's at all for anything. And maybe you need somebody to check in on you. But whatever it is, would you just take a minute and hit that chat and just write down if there's something that you are in need of. We'd sure like to know what that is. So there's a couple of resources that have come out as a result of the CARES package that's out there. One of them is an extension of the FMLA benefits. So if you find yourself out sick because you've contracted COVID-19, or someone in your house has and you've been quarantined as a result, or maybe you're out caring for someone because of an effect of COVID-19, like children, because the schools have closed down and maybe you don't have daycare set up for them or can't access that, and you're having to take time away from work. There are some benefits through the FMLA program that have been extended and expanded in the CARES package. So be sure and talk to your employer about that and check into it. Maybe your hours have been reduced and you're working only part-time now. The unemployment benefits will extend to you as well, even as you keep working if you're in an essential role, but you've got reduced hours. You can check into that as well. Again, talk to your employer, see what their plan is before you go on to do that. We're hearing across the valley that our food banks are very well stocked. So if you are struggling even a little bit with food insecurity, we encourage you to, maybe this is new, maybe this is different, but take a step of faith and take advantage of that resource to keep some of your cash in hand for other things. And then if you are looking for a job, there are a lot of really good jobs that are available right now. And those are available to you. You can reach out to Gigi or myself, and we're happy to share with you what we're seeing out there. Some of the job boards are very active in posting new resources. So I want to just take a minute there. Gigi, are you seeing anything consistently on the chat boards?
So one of the things that I'm seeing and that I've been hearing all week is just this whole idea of being home, whether it's being home alone, being home with kids, just how do I get through this time? And I think, that's none of us really were prepared for this. I mean, it just kind of hit and everything came to a screeching halt and we were home and that was it. So We understand. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we're hoping to do over the next few weeks is we're going to break you up into our regular programming, so to speak, for our classes, but we're also going to be bringing in some guest speakers. So if there's a need specific around how do you entertain, children ages 5 to 10 for the next 3 weeks until the normal summer stuff that you would have in mind comes up. Maybe there's some tension in your home and you want some ideas on how do you diffuse that. We're gonna try and bring in some speakers that will speak to that. So again, maybe you don't want to put it in the chat, and that's okay. But if you're hearing something and you want to reach out to Gigi or myself and let us know, you'd love to hear a little bit more about or have resources on a particular topic, we would love to know, because we'd like to make sure that what we do is relevant to you. All right, so let's get on with tonight's topic, and that is maximizing your stimulus check. They're on their way, and I'm understanding that sometime between the next 7 days or so, about 80% of the country who is lined up for the stimulus check will have it in hand. So you can see on the slide here, if you haven't looked at that, what it looks like. If your adjusted gross income is under 75,000 and you are single, you're going to be looking at a $1,200 stimulus check. Married, again, your adjusted gross income under 150,000, you double that, is 2,400. And then each dependent child that you claim on your tax returns is worth another $500. So a family of four, mom, dad, and 2 kids, could be receiving as much as $3,400 in a very short period of time. So now is the time to plan ahead. And just like when you're looking at a tax return coming, if you tell that money ahead of time what to do, you're much more likely to use it efficiently and effectively to move you and propel you towards your goal. So let's review. What should our goal be in this time when everything is kind of up in the air and we don't know from day to day what's going to happen and where we're going to be? It's really good to fall back on those 4 walls. And again, this is information we lifted from Dave Ramsey. First and foremost, keep a roof over your head, right? Keep the lights on, keep food on the table, and make sure you can get to and fro. So as you look at where you're going to spend your money, make sure that these are the 4 things that you're focusing in on. Once those are paid and secure, not just for this moment in time, but maybe even looking ahead to the following month, this is a really good time then to analyze where you can apply the rest of the money. Last week we talked about if you're a good saver, put it in a coffee can, hang on to it, and have it ready for emergencies. As the stimulus check comes in, I would encourage all of you, if you find some of this to be discretionary money, that you are seriously looking at how to set aside an emergency fund of $1,000. You can go down to a local credit union and find a pretty good rate on a certificate of deposit, a CD, and they'll just hold the money. It's a savings account that pays about 10 times more than what their savings account at the bank does. You can still get it at any time. It's totally liquid. You just give up a little interest if you put it in there. But it's a little harder to get out. You have to be intentional about getting it out. It's not just sitting there staring you in the face. So then it's used only for those emergencies as they come up. But that's a really good thing to set aside and just, set it and forget it. Once we've got that in place, then keep focusing on those 4 walls. Well, let's talk a minute about needs versus wants. If you've hung around with the Abundant Living program at all, you know this is a conversation that we have over and over again. So I have a couple of questions. Are you requesting deferments on regular payments, on car payments, on rent, on insurances? Are you requesting deferments? Are you using your credit cards more often because of this situation? Has something changed drastically where you're whipping out that credit card and maybe some basics are going on to that credit card? If so, it's time to re-examine and reallocate some resources. Because when we start using things like deferments, which by the way are not forgiveness, that's going to come back to you as soon as this is all over. Those things are still going to come due. They may be tacked on to the end, or they may be due at a later date, but they are still going to be due. So again, when you think about the stimulus money that's coming, if you've requested a deferment on a particular loan payment, make sure that you set aside the amount of that payment from your stimulus check so that as soon as it comes due, you're able to pay that. And again, that's assuming that we've gone through the four walls and you have kept a roof over your head, the lights are on, the food is on the table, and your transportation is secure. Now, that does not mean go out and buy a new car, by the way. So we can hold off on things like that. But when you re-examine and you reallocate your resources, the best advice that we've received is to go through each and every expense and decide, do I need this? Do I need this? Or do I just want it? What thing is going to go uncared for if I don't have this purchase? So those are the questions I like to ask when you're re-examining the spending that you're doing and reallocating the resources that you have. But I want to do a quick reality check here. So once we've covered the four walls, the reality is life still goes on. And those four wheels are really important. And life doesn't happen in a bubble, even though right now we're being forced to live in one. For the most part, there are some things that really do need to happen. On an occasion, we're going to grab a bite to eat while we're out, right? We're going to have to replace a piece of equipment in our home. I had a conversation with somebody who said she needed to replace her crock pot so that she could do more effective cooking at home, but it had a frayed cord on it and she was going to be having to replace that. So there are things like that that we're still going to have to spend a little bit of money on. So my advice to you is to, again, budget for it. If you're working with a goal coach or a budget counselor, talk to them about the expenses that are coming up. Make sure that that's not taking away from your four walls. And then consider spending locally. This is an incredible time, and I was stunned when I looked at some of these numbers. If you look at chain retailers, you might save a few bucks shopping at Target or Walmart or Costco, but the reality is the recirculation of revenue is only 13.6% versus, as you can see on the chart here, an incredible difference of 48% local recirculation of revenue for buying independently and locally. And you can see there the breakdown of where the money goes. So while you might spend $1 or $2 more on that crock pot, the value of that purchase by buying it at the local hardware store instead of the Walmart is incredible. The value of picking mom and pop shop to pick up a bite to eat is overwhelmingly more beneficial to the community by spending it locally. The other thing I want to share with you is a resource that we found that has some incredible things on it. One of the things that we're hearing a lot is, I saw one of the posts that was on the chat that said, we need more faith. Well, I'm going to help you with that. I don't know whose post that was, but I thought that was cool. Right Now Media has over 10,000 free videos and studies that you can do, and it is absolutely amazing. They've opened up their library during this time because they know so many people are at home, and you can access this with a quick free account. There's one I really do recommend called Overcoming Anxiety During COVID-19. I think it's one of the feature items that you see when you go in to it, and it's a 4 video series. It's got like 30 minutes worth of videos that you can watch, and Jonathan takes you through an idea of, are you feeding your fear or are you feeding your faith? And if you will consistently and overwhelmingly feed your faith more, it will grow to the point where it will eat and consume your fear, and you'll be left with a sense of peace and an incredible place. So this is a tremendous resource. I just wanted to make sure that this is out there for you all to see. It was a great story when it was shared to me. And I truly believe that the power of our story is in sharing it so someone else can find their way. So when you find something that works, share it. Pay it forward. Find someone else to give this to. There are things that we can do in this moment in time, in this economy, in this really crazy situation. There are things that we can do to love on each other, to care for each other, and to really go deeper in developing all four of our wheels. And I encourage you to just take the time to reach into that and to share things that you find with other folks.